This is big breaking emergency news. We are seeing the Biden administration respond to Texas. They are now shutting down critical natural gas pipelines and ports in Texas. They are now restricting them and putting sanctions essentially on Texas natural gas and other Texas production. All right. This is going on right now. This just happened today, and this is an official document and statement that was just issued by the White House tonight. All right, so big things are happening, big things are accelerating. We are seeing new numbers of the amount of people that have come into our country from last month. They were hiding these numbers and they broke records, all right, highest numbers we've ever seen. Okay, we are also seeing a statement by the Border Patrol, right? So there's a lot of big news going on, and we are seeing the Biden administration now restricting and putting sanctions essentially on Texas, on their ports and their liquid natural gas right now. All right, they are preventing them from exporting liquid natural gas and expanding their production. This is happening right now, and it seems like it is potentially a response to what has been going on, right? There's been a lot of pressure put on, and now we are seeing economic pressure being put on Texas as well. So this is a major development, and we could see more of this. And this is going to strain the Texas energy grid potentially, and this is also going to potentially affect energy prices and liquid natural gas prices. We're going to get to all that. But these new numbers, they just came out today. All right, they were trying to hide these numbers from the Customs and Border Patrol, and it broke a new record. It broke a record for the amount of people that they just encountered. All right, this is just the people that they encountered in December. 302,034 encounters in December of people crossing our border. 302,000, right? I thought the number was around 250,000, over 300,000 in December alone. This is unsustainable, and this is the highest month ever recorded in the history of our nation and probably any nation on earth. This is world history making events that are happening right now, and it's happening in our country, and this is going to change our country forever. Okay, also, the Customs and Border Patrol, they reported they arrested 19 people on the FBI watch list, the FBI international watch list that they have to track people. 19 people in December alone that Border Patrol caught. 19 people in December were on these international FBI watch lists. All right, and that brings a total for 50 arrests for the total year of 2024 so far. All right, so for the fiscal year. So I believe that started in November or December. All right, don't quote me exactly on that, but I think the fiscal year starts in November, pretty sure. So just in a few months, 50 people on the FBI international watch list has been caught, and 19 alone just in December. This is insane. And that's just who they caught. There are potentially hundreds more that are sneaking in. I've shown screenshots of videos of people sneaking in wearing army fatigues. We do not know who is coming into our country, and potentially hundreds more on these watch lists are coming in that aren't getting caught and aren't trying to turn themselves in. All right, so this is a very serious issue, record breaking for probably the history of the world. No country has ever absorbed this many people in a single month. This is insane. All right, and now we have 19 people on this watch list as well. This is a national security risk, and we are seeing an update on this deal from the Senate right now too, and it doesn't look very good. It doesn't look like a great deal, honestly. And then we will get into the grid and gas problems, pipeline issues that are happening with Texas and the federal government as well. The federal government's essentially sanctioning Texas right now, right? This is what's happening in our country. But this new Senate deal just was presented as well. This is the Cinema Langford Murphy deal. And it says the U.S. would be required to shut down the border if crossings surge over 5,000 a day over a week. Right? So they're still saying 5,000 people a day can just come over and the border will stay wide open. This is the new deal coming out of the Senate. It's bonkers. This is insane. All right? And it says that would have shut down the border in December because there were 300,000 crossings, but that still permits 150,000 crossings per month approximately, and 1.8 million per year. Right? That's still a massive number that our country cannot absorb and these cities cannot absorb. Where are these people going? Where are their houses? What are they eating? Where are they getting money from? We know the answers to these questions, but it's unsustainable. They're still allowing, this is supposedly the big deal, 150,000 per month. All right, so we're just going to cut it from 300,000 to 150, and then it'll just be totally legal and we won't shut anything down. This is insane and unsustainable and an invasion for our country. And we were just issued a statement as well by the Federal Border Patrol Union. They are saying that they are not going to arrest the Texas National Guard. They said, quote, rank and file Border Patrol agents are not going to start arresting Texas National Guard members for following their lawful orders. They said, Texas National Guard and Border Patrol agents work together and respect each other's jobs, period. If Texas National Guard members have, quote, lawful orders, then they have to carry out those orders. They said they appreciate and respect what Texas has been doing to defend their state in the midst of this catastrophe that the Biden admin has unleashed on America, right? That's what Border Patrol Union is saying right now. And they said, we want to be perfectly clear. There's no fight between Border Patrol and the Texas National Guard, Governor Abbott, or Texas, right? So this is what Border Patrol just issued as their official statement online. They just put this statement out, and they're saying they are not going to arrest any members of the Texas National Guard, right? So that's a good thing. We do not want to see this situation escalate. We do not want this to be a big situation where we have state and federal forces against each other. That's not what we want. We just want our country to be safe and secure, and the border needs to be protected and it needs to be shut down. And in response, Texas is also now recruiting volunteers of the Texas Military Department. They are now recruiting any volunteers that want to come to the border. They are now being authorized to come to the border, and they are going to pay them and provide housing for them as well, right? So they're trying to round up as many people that they can, right? And this isn't an open volunteer, but it's people that are part of the Texas military branch that they have set up, right? Because Texas has their own guard as well. There's a National Guard, but then there's a Texas Guard as well, and a Texas Military Department, and they have their own personnel, and they are now recruiting any volunteers from these departments to now go to the border to help in their operations to put up more razor wire, put up more barriers, and they're also now arresting certain people for trespassing if they enter certain ports and certain locations, right? So that's what Texas is doing. And in response to all this, right, it seems like there's a lot of responses to each other. Now the Biden administration is restricting and essentially putting sanctions on liquid natural gas exports out of Texas and out of the South. All right, that's what just got approved today, January 26, 2024. You can see here, this is coming out of the White House official documents. It says Biden-Harris administration announces temporary pause on pending approvals of liquefied natural gas exports. All right, so they're pausing all pending approvals for exports of natural gas pipelines and natural gas projects, okay? And this is affecting over a dozen different ports right now they are now in limbo because they have these projects going to expand and have more pipelines and export more natural gas to other countries, because America is actually the number one exporter of liquefied natural gas in the world, and it's bolstering the economy of Texas, Louisiana, a lot of these southern port states. They are now being affected, and they're shutting down their expansion and their exports to other countries. So this is essentially a sanction on natural gas being exported out of the country. It's being shut down right now. We also have news of the Biden administration is selling our federal helium reserves that are in Texas as well. All right, we're going to get to that in just a second. But you can see here Biden's halt on natural gas licenses strands would-be exporters in limbo. It says terminal projects seeking export licenses left high and dry. Applicants now face unknown delay, uncertain path forward. It says more than a dozen companies were in queue for the federal permission to send the fuel to some of the world's biggest buyers. It says the White House freeze on new natural gas export licenses starkly divides terminal developers into two camps: those who can move forward with multi-billion-dollar investments and those stuck in limbo. It says major expansion projects sought for two liquid natural gas facilities in Texas, Port Arthur, LNG, and Corpus Christi mid-scale have been paused while this review proceeds. All right, so Port Arthur and Corpus Christi mid-scale LNG ports have now stopped their expansion. All right, they're now saying that they're not going to be able to export, and they've been sinking billions of dollars into this, into pipelines and to drilling, and it's around 30 to 40% of our grid electricity capacity comes directly from natural gas, right? So this is going to affect our grid potentially as well. And all these projects just got shut down. These are essentially sanctions on U.S. companies and shutting down their business, and they're doing this in the name of the environment, apparently. That's what they're saying, even though it doesn't make sense. This is natural gas that comes from the earth, and it only produces water and CO2 when it's burned off, right? So this doesn't even make sense. This seems like it's an attack on these certain states. And we also have the Biden administration selling off massive reserves of our helium supply, right? So the federal helium reserves are now being sold off as well. And medical communities, doctors, they are worried because this is used for MRIs, right? You can see here it says the Biden administration's sale of the helium reserves worries medical community. This was just posted today as well, January 26, 2024. It says the Biden administration just sold the federal helium reserve, a deal that involves pipelines in Oklahoma, Kansas, and the Texas Panhandle, and it worries some in the medical community. Right? Why are we selling this off? Why are we selling our pipelines that are critical to our national security? Why are we selling these off? All right, you can see here it says the reserve is located in a large underground facility in Amarillo, Texas, and it supplies up to 30% of the helium used across the country. The helium is stored at the Cliffside Storage Facility about 12 miles north of Amarillo, Texas, in a natural geologic gas storage formation, the Bush Dome Reservoir. Right? These are these deep caverns. They store these where they store helium and the oil reserves. You can see here it says the reports indicate that after the Helium Act's amendment of 1960, the U.S. Bureaus of Mines arranged for 5 private plants to recover the helium for natural gas. It says the Bureau constructed a 425-mile pipeline from Bushton, Kansas, to connect the plants with the depleted Cliffside gas field where the gas was injected and stored. It says they are now selling this 425-mile pipeline in 3 states, as well as 1 billion cubic feet of the elements. and this is used for MRI machine work. All right, this is crazy. This is insane that we are selling this off. And it says the huge amount of reserves of the gas in the 3 states made the U.S. the largest helium producing country in the world. All right, and we just sold it off. We just sold it off all of a sudden, and it's in Texas and Oklahoma. And why are we doing this? Who was this even sold to? Who was this sold to? Who are we selling our hundreds of miles of pipeline to? All right, this is insane. This is insane, and this is affecting the economy in Texas and the South, these states surrounding Texas, and it's also affecting our national security and the energy grid as well, and energy prices. All right, very serious that this is happening, and this all just got approved today, January 26th, when yesterday, or earlier today actually, was the deadline for Texas to remove their National Guard from Shelby Park in Eagle Pass, Texas, and they didn't remove them, right? And now we're seeing these major responses, it seems like, from the Biden administration on Texas, their economy and their supply chain and their energy, right? Very serious. Now we're seeing economic, this is stepping up, this is already escalating, and we don't want this to escalate. We don't want this. This doesn't even make sense. Why is our own country doing this to itself? This doesn't make sense. This is not in the best interest of our country, and that's what needs to happen in our country. Right? Our country needs to be protected at the border, and our supply chain, our critical resources, and our natural resources, they need to be protected, right? And they're just being sold off to who knows where, who knows to what, right? And while this is all happening, right, it's very strange what's going on as well. That just something that I thought is interesting, that the Texas governor, he is out of the country right now, and he is technically not the governor of Texas right now. Just something I thought it was strange. He is actually in India right now, and he's celebrating this Republic Day in India, okay? But while he is out of the country, then technically Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick in Texas is actually the acting governor of Texas during this crisis right now. All right, so just something that I thought is interesting and something I wanted to bring up, because that's not really being mentioned right now. It's not really being mentioned that the Texas governor is out of the country, and I think it's only for a few days, but it's strange. And the lieutenant governor is going to Shelby Park right now. He was just seen arriving into Shelby Park, Texas today, right? Just a few hours ago. So something's going on. Something's going on. And now we're seeing hits on the supply chain, the energy grid, the economy. We don't want this. This needs to stop. And we need to make America strong from the inside out. All right, the America is being torn down from the inside out. This is the only way they can bring the U.S. down, is from the inside out, and that's how they're doing it. They're allowing open borders, and our economy and our industry is being shut down. This is just another bit of news that just doesn't make sense in our country, and the laws are backwards. All right, and we're creating two tiers of laws in our country. We're creating 2 tiers of citizens. All these things are happening, and it's unsustainable for our country, all right? But California they are trying to pass a law to have programmable algorithms in your car that know when you're speeding, and it restricts you, all right? It restricts your car. It shuts your car off. It doesn't allow you to go more than 5 or 10 miles faster than the speed limit in California. All right, that's a new law that they're trying to pass. And at the same time in California, if you are a quote migrant, you can just go to the DMV and get a license, and you can drive in California as well. If you're not even a U.S. citizen, you can get, it's called a AB60 driver's license, right? And this is happening all over the country, where people are getting these IDs and licenses, and it could potentially allow them access in certain locations to also voting, okay? And even social services and benefits. Once they have this license, they can get access to all these different things, right? It's used, your driver's license is used for everything, okay? And they're just giving them away for free to people that, whatever your name is, there doesn't have to be any hard proof of who you are, where you came from. We were talking about earlier, 19 people on the FBI international watch list came over, and some of them, a bunch of them got away, and some of them are getting driver's licenses and are able to drive cars, another national security risk. And then they want to stop you, a citizen that pays your taxes and pays your insurance and pays your car bill. They want to stop you and have limiters for speeding if you're going to go 5 over the speed limit. All right, I'm not saying you need to speed, but it's just the control is for the citizens. We're creating this 2-tiered system where people that aren't even from our country get access to benefits and rights, just like the flying thing, okay? People are able to get on a plane without being checked by the TSA or without showing ID. And there was one sign even saying that they can refuse to have their picture taken. They can even say, don't even take a picture of me, because I don't want you to have my identity, okay? I'm not sure, but everyone else has to show a photo ID. Everything has to match. You have to get you have to go through the whole thing, the whole security process. Citizens do, but then if you're a non-citizen, you don't have to. It doesn't make sense, and I want to know what's really going on. This is a national security risk, and it's being encouraged and being allowed, all right? And speaking of this stuff, there's a lot of international movement as well. This is another reason why our borders shouldn't be open, is because these international wars are brewing. World War III is also brewing, and we can't have foreign nationals from other governments flooding into our country. We cannot allow this to happen, all right? And while we're wide open, the USA just moved nukes to the UK. The USA just moved nukes to the UK, all right? This is the first time they've done this in over a decade, all right? They haven't had nuclear missiles there since 2008, but they now have placed nukes back in the UK, and we have our border wide open, all right? So we're going to put nukes inside of a country to protect it, quote, protect it, but then the UK borders are wide open too, but then the borders are wide open. It's like, well, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. How is the nuke protecting us if the borders are wide open? It would make sense if borders are secure. We're closed off, but it doesn't make any sense. We can already come under attack at any moment from this issue that's happening, right? And the UK, same thing. They're dealing with the same crisis. Europe is dealing with the same crisis and being overwhelmed and dealing with a invasion as well, right? So just another reason it's not adding up. The policies aren't adding up. Why are you putting nukes in the UK if the borders are wide open, right? If things are this perilous on the World War III front, then the borders should be shut down and militarized, and we should be saying nobody's coming in. We're making sure nobody's coming in. But it's wide open, and we're allowing people on these watch lists to enter our country freely, all right? Doesn't make sense. The policies don't make sense. And this is on top of this top UK general that was warning of civil armies need to be created, and talking about potential conscription in the UK and in Europe, right? This NATO admiral was talking about this as well, all right? It just doesn't make sense. If we were actually this close to World War III, which I think things are escalating then the border should be closed. But it seems like they potentially might want to use this group of military-aged men and militarize them in some way. Somebody wants to militarize them, whether it's a foreign country or our country, and potentially even use them in our military. That's what U.S. senators are talking about right now, right? Insane. This is insane. This is just, we're about to reach a point where we can't turn back, all right? We're about to reach a point where we can't turn around. And this also happened today as well. British oil tankers are on fire after being attacked by Yemen. Okay, so we could see oil prices spike from that as well. There hasn't been a giant bump from these attacks, but there's been another one. It says Yemen claims to have, quote, targeted British oil tanker in the Red Sea in retaliation to UK strikes amid Gaza conflict, as fears mount that Israel's war could spread. All right, so this is affecting our supply chain. This is affecting our energy, right? International shipping routes are being affected, affecting energy prices. And then we also have domestically our pipelines being sanctioned, essentially, and also our helium reserves and our strategic oil reserves are being sold off, right? The strategic oil reserve hasn't been refilled. It's at all-time low levels as well, right? All the reserves are just being emptied out. And if there is a massive war, America is not in a strategic position, in a strong position. We are in a depleted position from these resources being outsourced and sold off. And we need to be ready for what's coming next, all right? So make sure you are getting prepped. Please hit it up for me down there to help get this video out. Hit that bell too if you want to be notified on your phone every time I post a video. I'm posting every single day. You'll get a notification on your phone. If you want to hit that, go for that. I really appreciate that. And make sure you are getting prepped. Make sure you're getting ready, all right? We have a new flock of chickens. We got our chickens out here. We have our garden dug out. We're about to plant some stuff, all right? We have seed trays going. We have a lot of projects in the back that are coming, all right? We're getting our homestead going. We just moved here just recently, and this is going to be critical in the future, just like right now. Supply chains are being affected. Energy is being affected. You need to have your tanks filled up, water tanks, gas tanks. I just refilled my gas tanks up today because I like to dump them into my truck every month. If I don't use them, I'll just dump them in the truck and burn them out, right? So they don't have to sit there that long. I want to have fresh gas. Get your tanks filled up, gas tanks, water tanks, all right? Get your pantry filled up, canned goods, rice, right? Learn how to bake and learn how to grow your own food, right? That's how we're going to win, and that's how we're going to be able to survive all this, what's coming next, all right? So thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.